Thank you for joining Toxin Magazine's Everything Old Skool Podcast. Tonight, we are here with Bernadette, better known as Thelma from Good Times. I'm your host, Shanique Bird, along with Marquise Morrow. Bernadette,
Yes.
you introduce yourself and tell us a little about who you are.
Well, I did play the character Thelma on Good Times, and that has stuck with me for the last 40 years, which is okay. That's wonderful. I thank God every day for that, because I mean, what show do you know is out there, and you get generations upon generations that are watching it.
Right. Like I remember that show as a little girl. Now, prior to becoming a cast member on Good Times, what were you doing?
Well, I was the person that lived in Brooklyn, New York, in Brownsville, all right, in the Van Dyke Projects. So when I did finally get the part of Thelma, it was like I really knew that part. I mean, I practically was that girl, you know what I mean? So I knew her. I didn't have to really act her, but I knew her.
Now, were you interested in being an actress prior to that role?
Well, I wanted to just be a dancer, which I was, and still am to a degree. I wanted to be a professional dancer. Actually, you always know that, being a dancer is one thing, but there's another part to certain things. So I thought I was going to be a psychologist, a psychiatrist. That's what I wanted. That's the kind of mindset that I had. And then I just actually kept doing acting also, and not really thinking about it like that. But my mother always would say, "You're such a good actress. You really are a good actress." I'm like, "I am? Yes, you are." And so I guess she made me believe it.
Wow. Wow.
So that's how I became an actress. Yeah. It was really interesting. It just led like one thing into the next. You could never have told me that I would have been an actress like that on Good Times, a television show. No, although there was a show that I used to watch all the time, and I said, "Oh, I wish I was her," and that really was that show called That Girl by Marlo Thomas. Because she was an actress in New York, and she was so cute, and she was always trying. And I'm like, "Oh, I love this show. Oh, I want to be her." So when I went to Juilliard, of course, I went right into that same square that she was standing, and I turned around just like she did. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, in a way, thinking and maybe wanting to that subliminally, it happened.
Wow. That's amazing. Marquise?
Yes, what I wanted to know though, and that's interesting. I didn't know Marlo Thomas was sort of inspiration, because I watch that show to this day.
Oh yeah.
Yes, indeed. But what I wanted to know, like when you were on the set, how did you know when to come into a scene? Like I watch it sometimes when you guys are in the room or you're outside and you're coming in. How did you know when to enter a scene? Did they say, "Oh, was there a light?" Or did you listen at the door and you had a cue? How did you know when to enter a scene?
We had a stage manager, and the
And
stage manager is connected to the director, by the earphones, whatever. And and you say, "Okay, prepare her," and I'd stand. And then when the stage manager would go, that's when I go in. Here we go, and then you walk in.
oh, okay, that's interesting, because I always wondered how you guys knew when to come in. Now, did you ever have to ad lib? Because I know there was, a lot of there was a lot of script that you have to read. Did you ever ad lib?
We were not allowed to ad lib, not one word, not one. We couldn't say when there was no we couldn't say anything. We had to do it exactly the way the script was written.
So that must have been hard not to even say because that's like a habit almost. That's so common. So there were
Nope.
many takes. Was there a lot of mistakes?
No, there weren't a lot of mistakes. But you have to understand that these are really professional actors, so they knew all that stuff, you know. And I had studied at Juilliard, so I knew that too. You have to sometimes go by the script, just exactly by the script. So it was no ad lib. There was nothing like that. If we went off script and say we went up means you lose your line. And say you're doing something and you go up, or you improvise because you went up. We had a very clever director who, while we were doing the scene in front of an audience of 250 people, he would always say, hold up, hold up. You know, nobody could see him because he was in the booth. And he would say, Bernadette or Esther or whomever would mess up. We had a little glitch in the booth here. Can you please repeat that?
In other words, do
Like
over.
we made a mistake.
Okay. Esper?
So every time I watch Good Times, it appeared that you guys were really family. Like, you know, sometimes you see the chemistry between people. Was that actually true? Did you guys really have that sincere chemistry, or was it friction on the set?
It was actually a sincere love for each other, and we did. And the moment we stepped into that scene or that set, we were really like family. Esther was like my mom and dad, and you know, James was like my dad. Those were my real two brothers. And I think that energy or synergy happened, and we all became family. Now we all were different. So when the scene was over, or when the show was over, everybody went their own little ways. But when it came to Good Times and that set and that scene, we were family.
Now, prior to your joining Good Times, were you aware of who JJ Walker was at the time, Jimmy Walker?
I wasn't aware of anybody. Not at all.
Okay.
I learned everybody's life when I got on the set. You know, although I didn't know of Ralph Carter because he was on Broadway. He was doing the show Raisin. And at that time, this is amazing. At that time, my real brother, Talbot Cottrell, was being groomed for Ralph to leave Raisin and to come to Good Times. So it's like a replacement. My real brother took his place.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
knew about him.
Oh, wow. That's
Isn't
interesting.
that interesting?
Yes. So
Yeah.
I feel like you were destined for that role. Like when I see you and watch the character and see you now, it's almost like it was destiny. Do you agree with that?
You know, I do believe that in some way. And I hear people, even people that are close to me that really, really know me, you know, they say the same thing. They said, you were born for that part. For whatever reason and whatever it did, they said I was born for that part.
Yeah, you did a lot for the Black community. And I
Thank
think
you.
you're still considered an icon to so many people. And as you said, generation after generation, they sit back and they watch these stories and they're so believable because so many people can relate to those characters. And what do you say to people who can relate to you, like from the beginning to the end?
Well, you know, I meet a lot of people because, you know, I travel and I do my book signings and I do a lot of speaking engagements and I meet a lot of people. And when people first meet me and have not met me before, like a lot of times I've gotten, you know, watery eyes. You know, they'll see me and everything. I say, I'll be back, and they'll go and they'll come back later. You know, their eyes are watery, and I kind of understand that because they identified with the character, you know.
Mhm.
And one lady, this is really recently, she had tears in her eyes, and she said to me, "You don't know what you've done for me when I was a little girl." She said, "My mother didn't want me, and you saved me." Like she
Wow.
lived her life through me.
Wow. Yeah.
That's deep right there.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, Bernadette, aka Thelma, for those who are watching. Now, the last time we spoke, you told me that you were the first black teenager, or first black girl, teenage girl on TV. And I
Mhm.
asked you, is that in your bio? And you said, I don't know. Is it? Do you know? Is it in your bio?
It
Because
should
it
be in
needs to
my
be.
bio. In fact, I have to look at it myself to see if my manager updated that, because that is really true. I was the very first Black female teenager portrayed on television.
So you're not only a part of TV history, you're a part of Black history, and that needs to
Um,
be known,
yes,
because people just know you as Thelma, but they don't know that you are also a part of Black history.
right. The first one. And very interesting. We were talking about this the other day, that as writers on the show, being that they were mostly 50, 60-year-old white men that were writing for the part, a few younger ones too, but they really didn't know who I was. They didn't understand who this teenager living in the projects really was, what type of personality, what is this? So they didn't really write for me. They wrote lines, generic lines. And one time, it was about 6 months into the show, I was still getting the same 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. And I went home. When I came home, I spoke with Esther, and I said, I used to call her Mom. I said, Mom, I was so bored this week on the show. I was so bored. I really was. And I said, gee, I could do a lot more. I mean, I could really, really handle lines. So she said, she looked at me and she said, okay. And she said, well, let me handle it. And she did. After the reading that Friday, she asked the producers some questions about, are you ashamed of my daughter? Oh, no, we're not ashamed of your daughter. And she said, well, my son JJ has a lot to say. My son Michael has a lot to say. And I would like my daughter to have a voice also. And they said, certainly, but they still didn't know what voice she would have. So Esther told me to go up to the producers, upstairs to the writers, and have a meeting with them and tell them who Thelma was.
That's beautiful. So is it fair to say that Miss Rowe brought balance as to the show? She
Very
brought
much
class
so.
and balance to the show.
Right. And she wanted her female child to have a voice and to have an opinion and to be as important and, confident in the character as the other two. So she definitely did that for me. And she looked at me, she gave me that look, and I gave her that look like, Mom, I'm not gonna let you down. And so that's where Thelma got a lot of leeway to be herself.
Now, I also wanted to ask, a lot of people think that the show took place in Chicago, but you told me it took place in Hollywood, correct?
Mhm. Correct.
So did you have to move to Hollywood?
Yes, I
Or
did.
how being from Brooklyn, you had to move to Hollywood?
Yes, I had to move to Hollywood. I had to move to Hollywood.
That
And
transition.
eventually I had to learn how to drive. Because you don't need to
Well,
drive in New York or Brooklyn.
right.
But as I got older, I had to really learn how to drive, and that was the trip. But I did. I'm glad I did. Um, the show was done on a set. Like they would build a set on Tuesday night, and we would do a run through for the cameras and for the boom, meaning the microphone. And we do the run through on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we do 2 shows. We do a show at 5 o'clock, and then we do this. We go eat dinner, and then we take notes, and then we do another show at 8 o'clock. The same identical show at 8 o'clock. And then what the editors would do is they would splice both shows and put the best of both shows together, and it would make one nice, clean show.
Beautiful. Go ahead, Bert.
So one thing about you is I felt like you were so relatable. You and JJ reminded me of my aunt and uncle, that dynamic, that back and forth, that dislike. Do you
Right.
hear that a lot?
Well, I hear that a lot because I literally created that. I started with him. He would do something, I start pushing him, hitting him. Because that's what I did with my brothers. I was like, oh, shut up, whatever. And so that's what caused that. Yeah, because that's what we did.
Mm-hmm. So when you say that the writers were white men, it's always puzzling to me when I go on a set and I see a Black cast, but no, all of the production crew are white. Now, was that the experience? Because it's odd to me when I go on a set and you think like the only Black people are the actors, and everybody, we have this image in our head, this is a Black production, but really it's not. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's a Black show, not necessarily a Black production. And so, well, you have to understand that they've been the head of Hollywood for a long, long time. And, Black people never had the opportunity to be producers and directors and writers on these major white shows. So being that there's a Black show, a lot of times you almost have to have like a mentor, I would say, and they are, because they've been there longer to help us get there. But there's so many of us that are there now, and I don't understand why now they're not more. Because, you have to get into the union, the writers union, the directors union. Those are powerful unions. And I would love to see more of us in all of those unions. And even in the acting union, the SAG and AFTRA. But, it's not that open. It's still very limited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was on the set, the last time I was on a set, it was like, I want to say 10 years ago, maybe. And the crew everyone was white. And I thought it was, that was one of the first times I had been on a set. And to think, yes, it's a Black show, but it's almost like it's eye-opening, because you think like, how can white people write these Black scripts? Like, what are they reading? Do you know, like, how are they writing?
Well, it was so funny because I don't know if it was a joke or not, but it was like they said they had a book that had all the Black slang and the Black idiom, everything that we would say was in the book, so they can talk like that. But I don't know if that was a joke or if that's real or not. But it's like there are some Black writers there. There are some. Let's just say that. It's very, I think that the whole thing is off balance anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess they figure, I guess it's like, if you want it to be balanced, you get your money and you build your own and you do your own, because this is what we do.
Yeah, no, that's probably what they're thinking. Go ahead, Marquise.
Well, I wanted to get to the grassroots. What made you try out for the part anyway, and how did you hear about it? How did it even come into your existence?
It came to me. I did not go to it. It came to me. This was really true. I was in a beauty pageant, and it was at that particular pageant, and I guess the manager, a manager was there, but he was looking for Black girls to do maybe this part. And he saw me, and he went over to my mother, and he gave her a card and said, we would like to see her because she looks like she could fit into this television show that's coming out. And it's going to be at CBS, and she can come up there and audition for Norman Lear, and Jimmy Walker was already picked for the character. So that's what we did. I went up there the next week and at CBS, and I went into the room, and there were thousands of girls. Thousands.
Literally.
I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God, wall to wall girls. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. This is my really first professional anything, even professional audition. So my thing was like, okay, well, I'll just go in there and do what I do. And I went in there, and the script was written very pedantically, very, very, and it was like not quite what we would say or I would say. And so I asked Mr. Lear, can I improvise? I said, because this, again, it doesn't come out my mouth right. So he looked at me and he said, go ahead. And so I just improvised a scene with Jimmy. And we just did it naturally. And he started laughing. And I guess that's part of what won my role. I don't know.
And,
But
and that
that's how,
goes, and that goes, I'm
huh?
sorry.
No, I mean,
And I
that's how I did it, because I couldn't read that script. Woo.
And that goes back to what we said earlier in the interview, that you were just destined to play that part because it came to you. You wasn't looking for it. You went in with 1,000 girls, and most of them probably have more experience in acting,
Much more experience. Most of them were very professionals. They were all
and you
professionals
got it.
to me.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely destined. Now I want to ask you another question. In your opinion, do you think you were typecast?
You know, because I have studied at Juilliard and there's so many different characters that I can do. I mean, I'm really, I was trained, and I'm a good actress. Um, it almost looks as if I was, because there were lots of parts that I could have done that I'm sure that when they saw me, they kept seeing Thelma. I don't know. No one ever told me that, but I would imagine that that had something to do with it.
Okay, S. Bird, go ahead. We can't hear you, S. Bird.
Yeah, I know. So how long did you play the character Thelma in Good Times?
5 years.
Okay. And during those 5 years, could you tell us the most memorable thing that happened on set
Good or
that
bad?
wasn't in the script? That wasn't in the script.
Okay. I remember I was getting ready to go on, the show was going, and there was a scene before I had to go on, and maybe 2 or 3 scenes before I had to go on. And I looked around, and little Janet Jackson comes running up to me and grabs me, and she says, tell him to stop, tell him to stop. Now, this was Gary Coleman. Gary Coleman was chasing Janet all around the set. And this is tape night. And I grabbed his little bitty arm and I said, look at you, you better stop, leave her alone right now, right now. And he looked at me like, oh my God, you're a mean lady, or whatever. And then I walked on the set and did my scene. That was weird.
Now, what was your relationship with, the characters that played your mom and dad on the set? Now, I know you said called Esther mom, but what about the dad? I lose his name at this moment, but
His name is John Amos,
yes, John Amos.
and he played James.
Yes, James.
And he was such a powerful figure. I mean, he is amazing to me because he would always say, all right, little Capricorn. That's what he would call me, because he's a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. So he said, all right, little Capricorn, I understand. So then, he was wonderful in that. When we first started the show, the producers would ask me questions and things like that. And he would say, and I would gladly just say my opinion about stuff. So then when they would go and leave and everything, he took me to the side and he said, you're just getting in this business. There's a lot you don't know. And I would advise you to listen and learn. You don't really have an opinion about these things. And I went, okay. And he probably saved my job. Who knows?
Mm.
But I certainly did listen to him. And I definitely have to tell you this funny little story.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. We had CBS dinner to go to. And this is my very first CBS dinner. And all of Hollywood was there, all of the actresses and all actors, everything. And so I brought my pad and my pen, okay, and put it in my purse because I knew that Billy D. Williams was going to be there. And so I was in love with Billy D. Williams because he had done Brian's song and all these great things, and he was so handsome. So I was sitting right next to John Amos at this table, and Billy D came in, and I saw him come in, and I was measuring everything because I figured if he steps this way, I could just get up real easy and go straight to him, right? So because I was going to get his autograph. So as I was raising up, I mean, the whole place is packed, right? But I didn't care. As I was raising up to grab my purse, I was halfway up to go over there to Billy D. John grabbed my hand and said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going over there to get his autograph." He said, "Sit down." I sat down. I said, "Why'd you do that?" He said, "You can't do that." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because now you're among them." Among them, what? Oh, I was so mad at him. I was so mad. But he knew, he told me, you just don't do that. It's not proper to do that. Right. And I didn't know that. I just wanted an autograph for Billy D. Williams. That's it. So it took me 30 years later, and I got that autograph.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
That was cute. Yeah, that's yes. Another lesson I learned.
All the young girls was in love with Billy D. Williams back then. Now, we all know you're an actress. We all know you're a dancer. I want you to tell us, please, about your books about Alzheimer's. Or Alzheimer's. I might be experts.
Alzheimer's. You're absolutely correct.
Okay, Alzheimer's, and how you became the spokeswoman for Alzheimer's. If you could tell us that, please.
Yeah, okay. Well, I did start writing books, and I wrote one on relationships called Situations 101, Relationships, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And I did a tour on that. And then after that, I wrote another one about finances. So I had written 2 books, and I was touring and everything. And then I got the message that my mom wasn't doing so well, that she had Alzheimer's. So I brought my mother from New York to live with me in California. And I had my mother with me the whole time. And so one day I said, "Mom, wouldn't it be great if you had a little book too, and we were sitting side by side and when we were autographing our books?" And she said, I'd like that." And I said, "Okay, because we got to tell your story." Because people used to ask her questions like, "How'd you get your daughter there? How'd you get your daughter here? How did it work out?" But they didn't realize at that time that she was going through Alzheimer's. So she would answer, but not really answer, and things like that. So when we decided to write a book, I remember how Alzheimer's started moving in on her faster and faster, to the point where I couldn't even form an idea, a sentence, or anything about a book, so it was just trying to keep her alive at that time. And it was very devastating being the caregiver, at that time. It was everything kept changing. So it was called, I wrote this book called The Last Night, because it was her last night when I said to her, it actually was her last breath. And I said to her just before she took that last breath, I said, "Mommy," I said, "it's not over yet." And my spirit just knew I had to write this book for her. And that's how I wrote the book, The Last Night, in her honor, because I wanted the world to know who she was. I wanted them to recognize the spirit that she had. She sacrificed a lot for her children, all 5 of us. And, I think God rewarded her and gave her, a chance to see her children be successful in certain areas. And I just felt it was so, unfair for her to have died that way. And I said, in that, some good has to come out of this. So as I was writing the book, it took me a very long time to write the book. It took me 5 years. And as I was writing the book, I was praying and crying and asking God to guide me and let what I want in my heart to really, really come out on these pages, because I wanted to help other caregivers who have no answers like I didn't. In the middle of the night, when you're questioning and saying, why is this happening? I want to call someone and talk to them and, cry on their shoulders and, somebody take this pain out of my heart, and there was no one there. It was people were there, but it was like they couldn't reach enough deep down to soothe my pain. So it was just me and God. And I said, I am definitely going to write my pain, because somebody needs to hear this. Because I didn't have a book like that when I was going through. They had the facts about Alzheimer's. They had what caregivers could do and should do, but they didn't talk about the pain and how the heart is breaking and splintering and all that other stuff. Nobody could talk about that. I said, well, I have to. And that's what that book is about.
So it's from the heart.
Yeah.
It's from your bones.
I even said you might even see teardrops on these pages.
Wow. Now, for the people who's listening, can you give them some information in case they want to get the book?
Sure. They can go to my website and order it. It's they can go to Thelma of Good Times. That's my email, thelmaofgoodtimes.com. thelmaofgoodtimes@aol.com. And they can, and everything's online. I mean, if you go to my website, it's all there anyway. And you can order the book, and I'll get it for you, and I will autograph it for you. They also can get it at Amazon, but of course it won't be autographed, because it'll be there. They'll send it to you, not me. And but however you get it, do get it, because it is a book that will help you. And if you're not there yet, a lot of us will be there one day, not with Alzheimer's necessarily, but with something. We all have parents, and our parents will transition one day, and it will help you to understand, about the transition and letting go.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, S. Bert.
Now, are there any projects you're working on now?
Yes, I am working on a few things. I'm working on a project called, Willie and Esther's been out there a long time. It's a play that many people have done, but I really, really like that play. I produced it off Broadway for about a year, and I am going to do that again. I'm going to produce it, and I'm going to star in it again next year. Well, it takes about a year to learn all those lines they have in there, but I'm starting to do that. And I am hoping and praying that I can get this certain actor to be my Willie.
Okay.
Should I say his name? He doesn't even know. I've never even asked him yet.
Yes. Yeah. Is this an exclusive?
Very.
Yes. Heard first here on the
No,
Everything Old Skool Podcast.
I can't.
Oh,
We can
Hey, sir.
Yes.
No, I can't. He's not even listening. I would love to see Ted Lange do it.
Oh, beautiful.
I
And
would
for
love
those
to
who
see.
might not know, Ted Lange is.
He played on Love Boat. He was the butler he was the bartender on Love Boat.
Exclusive.
He's an excellent writer. He is an excellent director. I mean, that man is so talented, and he's my friend. I love him to death. he's deep, you know, and
Right.
he's funny, and he's so funny. And so I think he would be just an excellent Willie for me.
Well, hopefully it works out.
I hope so. I'll ask him, not right now, maybe in about another month or so, I'll ask him.
So what advice would you give? Because you still look great. Like, you know, so you look
Thank you.
ageless. So being that you still look young, what advice do you give women? As you know, so many women, we get nervous as we get older, but then we see women like you who are, you know, just a timeless beauty. What do you say to those women?
Well, I would say something that I learned a little late, but I did learn it. I would say that um, wherever you want your body to be, or wherever you want to be as you get older, start getting yourself there around at the end of your 40s, at the end of your 40s, because, you know, when you know, go into, you know, menopause or whatever like that, you would want to be where you want to be before you go into that.
Okay.
You know, because the body changes, and if you are not physically where you want to be, it may take you so much longer to get there after menopause. So I would just say, try to start working on getting your body where you want it to be before you hit 50.
Okay. Okay.
That's interesting.
Marquise?
That's very interesting. When you get your parade done and right, do you plan on coming to New York? Because you know we gotta promote it for you and put posters up and call the local TV stations and everything. Because we will become your official PRs in New York if you don't.
All
I can
right,
speak for
that's what I'm
myself.
talking about. No, okay, I certainly will do it, but I think we're going to kick it off in Florida, in Pompano, Florida. That's where we're going to kick it off. I think that's where they want to do it. But you know, after we do that, we're going to take it around, and I definitely will let you know.
All right, that would be beautiful. And I wish you best luck on that. So now we met Bernadette the actress, we met Bernadette the author, we met Bernadette the producer. And did I miss something?
Ah,
And Bernadette the, yeah, I missed something, but I can't remember right
well,
now.
you know, I'm a writer, but I also love poetry, which is something I'm going to devote my time to. In a few years, I'm going to really, really devote my time to my poetry, because I have a lot that I feel and say, and I have pieces of papers everywhere. So I'm going to collect those, put them in a book, and I'm going to have that book of poetry. I am a mother, so this is Mother's Day this Sunday.
All right, right. Happy Mother's Day, ma'am.
Right. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. And you know, I give awards to mothers, because, you know, mothering is not easy.
No,
It's not easy. It's
No,
rewarding, but it's not easy.
How did you feel about the reboot of Good Times? Like the play one that came recently. Do you remember? I'm sure you remember,
Oh
but how do
yeah,
you?
the one they did on television. That
Yes,
one.
and now you weren't in it, or your daughters or anything. How'd you feel?
Well, you know, it to me it was a little political, but because if they had really wanted it to be Thelma, they would have picked one of my daughters, you know.
Right. One of
But they
them
look
looked
like
just
me.
like you.
Yeah. But I think that the actress that did play my part, she's a sweet, that's Jamie Foxx's daughter. She is a very sweet girl, and she did her best. She did her best, and she did well. You know, she did well. It's just that, you know, if they wanted anybody to look like me, they could have, you know, done my daughters. But I wouldn't put any ice water on her. She did well, and actually, all of the actors did as best they could, because it's very difficult to have an audience and to be sitting there portraying people who are sitting there who originally portrayed those characters. I think that's awfully hard to do.
So you were there?
We all were there.
Oh, so when you say when you said that was Jamie Foxx's daughter, and then you said political. I just put it all together. We'll leave it at that.
No,
And,
I don't mean any harm like that. But
no,
I
you
mean,
didn't
like,
say it. I said it. I know. That's how I'm taking it.
oh, okay. Well, I just think that I didn't hear of any auditions or anything about it. You know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
just done. That's what I mean.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified it for yourself. Now, when you were doing Good Times, did you find any hateration back then? Like, were there actresses were saying she's not a real actress, or she just got it because she's pretty, or
Never, ever, ever did I hear anything ugly said about me from any actor or actress. It was all admiration. It was very nice. What I did encounter were people who were not actors and actresses and who called themselves my friends at the time, who were the real haters.
And they were supposed to
They
be your
were
friends.
haters, huh?
And they were supposed to be your friends.
Well, you would think that they were, because, you know, I'm being young and I didn't know that my position was something that maybe they felt like we could take advantage of her because she'll always have, or so that was no compassion for me as a person. So it was basically something that they can get. It was an advantage, you know, like being her friend, I could get this, or being her friend, I can do that, or, you know, things like that. So they really were not friends at all. None of them.
Well, it wasn't genuine.
Not at all.
I understand. Go ahead, Esbert.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Is there anything else? I know, Marquise, you have a quiz.
Yeah.
So I just want to, before you give her the quiz, I want you to make sure, Bernadette, that you say everything that you feel needs to be said, what you want your fans to know about you right now. I think that's so important. Make sure that we can keep them updated on what you're doing.
Yes. I want my fans to know that they are the most important things to me, that without them, I wouldn't be who I am. I would always be who I am inside, but as an actress, they give me the feeling to continue, to want to do more for them, because my fans are fantastic.
Yes, indeed. And they're loyal.
They are, and they love me so much, and I love them too.
No,
I wouldn't be who I am without them.
Now, what was your favorite role? Was it Thelma, or do you have?
Well, it was my biggest role. I had a couple of good roles, especially in the gospel plays. I did a couple of roles, but they always made me the bad girl, which was good. You know, I stretched it a little bit. In the He Say, She Say play that I did, Talbert did, I played a very bad girl, and that was fun. In Black Jesus, I was awful. In that show, Black Jesus, did you see that?
No, I don't think I saw that.
Oh, you have to see that with Charlie Murphy and
yes, okay.
John Witherspoon.
Yes, okay, yeah.
I played a ridiculously, I don't know what was wrong with that child. But anyway, I played her well, and I thought I was right. And I fell in love with both those guys.
Wow.
Did you have a favorite episode from Good Times? Do you have a favorite episode?
Well, my favorite is the ones that were featuring me. When I was going to marry the African prince, of course.
eBay.
And when I got married on the show, that was my favorite. Another favorite of mine was when, remember when Penny put the cigarette underneath the pillow?
Yes.
And everybody's trying to figure out who did it.
Yes.
I love that show because I got a chance to play all these crazy little characters of everybody's mind. Like with Jimmy, I was a witch, and just little fun things like that. So I enjoyed that one too.
Hey, now I have something before we go. It's called 10 in 20. I'm going to ask you 10 questions and you got 20 seconds to answer them. They're mostly one word questions though. I mean one word answers. Okay? You ready?
Yeah.
Old school music or old school TV?
Old school music.
Acting or dancing?
Dancing.
New York or California?
New York.
Favorite movie?
I have several.
Can you pick one?
It's impossible to pick one. I have several too, right?
Okay, we'll get it past.
Oh,
Favorite
wait. There's one that I really would like. The one Denzel was in that one. He was in love with this Indian girl. I forgot the name of it. Mississippi Masala.
Okay, favorite actress?
Cecily Tyson.
Any regrets in your career? Yes, no?
No,
Best friend in the business?
I have a few. I can't say a lot of them, but I have a few. Well, I would say in the beginning of my business was Esther O.
Okay, anybody in the business you don't like?
No, I've always been
Okay.
treated pretty well with my actors and actresses.
Okay, so there's two more. What do you hear more, Thelma or Bern Nadetta?
What do I hear more?
Yes, what do people call you
Thelma.
more, Bern Nadetta or Thelma?
Thelma.
I figured that too.
Thelma.
And what would you change if you could in your career? It could be nothing, it could be everything, it could be some, because we got 5 seconds left.
I think I would change the fact that just because you're a good and great actress, you have to go through so many people to get a part, or so many different judges to judge you. I would change that.
Perfect answer. Okay, as Bert.
Yeah, so it was my pleasure to finally meet Thelma from Good Times.
I want to give you a hug.
No, it's just like, it's so amazing to see you and how beautiful you look, and to know that you are so important to the culture.
Thank you.
That you really played a pivotal role in Black America, and I want you to know that you will always be an icon.
Thank you, honey. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for always being so approachable, always being so kind. Everything that I've asked of you, whether it be through Vaughn or Kevin, you always showed up and kept your word. So I want to thank you for that very much. And God willing, we will be in touch again.
Okay, thank you. I enjoyed this interview.
Thank you. We enjoyed it too. Definitely. We learned so much about you. We'll definitely do another one in the future just to find out what's going on with you.
Yes, to keep up with me.
Yes, definitely.
Good luck on the play.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
What did you say? I didn't hear it.
Marquise, did you say something?
I said good luck on the play.
Oh,
good luck on the play.
Oh yeah, gonna need a lot of luck on that one. There's a lot of words.
Right.
A lot.
Good night.
Okay. Thank you, darling.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Good night.